All right. Welcome back to the Popcorn for Dinner podcast. My name is Ebube and I wish to save the world. Today on Pluribus, quite a lot happens in multiple parts of the world, as opposed to what happened in episode 6, where we're stuck in one location where Carol was very, very sad. This week, Carol is very, very happy, to her detriment. We'll see what she does with her freedom, and we will get into that. But we also decide, or at least the show decides for us, that we should figure out what Manousos wants from life in this episode. And that's quite a fun journey. I'm very much looking forward to getting into all of this. I do not want to do it alone though, so Chris is here with me once again. Hello, Chris. How are we doing today?
Hello, happy to be here.
Yeah, Carol's happy to be here too, I think.
Well, she goes through it this episode.
I feel like we're finally getting a little bit of an answer to the question of how long can someone go like this? I feel like there is a version of that question for each of the old schoolers, each of the survivors. Mm-hmm. And for Carol, it's like, okay, how long can you continue to embrace misery as your brand? For Diabates, how long can you just be endlessly pleasurable? Like, how long is endless pleasure pleasurable, I guess, like I asked last week. For Manousos, I guess maybe his is about stubbornness, but I suppose we'll get into that. This was quite an episode, huh?
Yeah, I think I liked it a lot. I think it's interesting the parallel journeys that Carol and Manousos go on and how they were pushed to the brink to accept the Hive's help, but in different ways, like physically for Manousos and psychologically, emotionally for Carol.
I think psychologically, Carol is, of course, going through quite a bit. I mean, what would you say was her lowest point?
Definitely the fireworks.
The fireworks, right?
She was basically
was she ready to die?
Yeah, no, I think that's the point of that, and I think it's very telling that she only asks the Hive to come back after that moment fails, where she was like, okay. I was kind of ready to go, perhaps, or
it's like, I
wouldn't say
else.
She's totally suicidal because she's not obviously taking active steps after that, but I think she was kind of at a point where she was just passively okay with it.
Yeah, that was definitely low. I mean, I guess fireworks are what people do when they are bored enough. But at the same time, seeing that particular one tilt over and, her not moving, I started to get a bit worried, There are quite a few moments, actually, in this episode where I got a bit worried. Mostly from Manousos, because what the heck is this? What are you doing, bro? What are you actually trying to do here? You don't have to do this.
But I feel like he is the same way as Carol in a sense. Like him going into that jungle at all was sort of his fireworks moment of maybe knowing that he wouldn't get through it, but he was willing to die trying versus ever accepting the Hive Mind's help because he is that determined not to.
You should have seen my face when he lit up the car. I was very upset.
It's a nice car. It's a cute car. I mean, he could have went back to it one day, but yeah. I think he didn't want them to bring it over there because that's how much he doesn't want their help.
Yeah, he didn't want them to bring it over.
I'm going to burn this. Yeah.
He didn't want them to touch it. He's like, nothing in this world is yours. Like, I would rather destroy everything that is mine before allowing you have any of it. And I think that's an interesting, standpoint for him to have because obviously there's only so much that can be gleaned from him sitting in that office the entire time writing down radio signals. But he's come out, he's seen Carol's video and he's done a little bit of observation and he's like, okay, these people are all possessed by something. So it's interesting because he didn't get like a first-hand crash course into all of this the way Carol did. His is more like, okay, I have context clues and I have a little bit of spark notes sent to me by Carol Sturka, who I now have to meet because apparently she is the only one left in the world with a brain. So he's like, okay, I'm going to get to her, but then he decides to drive. I thought maybe he'd ask for like a little bit of assistance in terms of like, crossing bodies of water, for example. But he's like, no, he's gonna hike. And yeah, I think it's debatable how well this actually works out for him. But yeah, I guess maybe we should start with Carol, because in a sense she is doing a lot of stuff that kind of prepares us, or I guess contextualizes what we see from Manousos later. I think there's a little bit of a dichotomy here that the show wants us to take a look at. It's like time passes, right? We see that, I think the count of timer goes up to 48 days when she's playing golf. So she does have a lot of time to herself. So it goes from 12 to 48. Yeah. Mm-hmm. She has a lot of time to herself here. And it's interesting to see, what kind of starts to create a bit of a switch in her. Whereas Manousos, it's unclear how long it's been for him. I'm going to assume it's roughly the same. Like, he's basically been doing that journey for a while. After last week's episode, I actually tried to figure out how long it would take for him to get from Paraguay to Albuquerque on his own. Mm-hmm. And it's like, okay, this probably would take like days, like maybe even weeks.
Like days of straight driving, hiking, all that stuff. Like, I think someone on Reddit said it would take like 18 days. So that makes sense. I do think his was the same timeline as Carol, basically. Like, I think he was traveling for that whole time. Yeah. Maybe.
There's definitely a lot that they have in common in this episode. But before we get into it, I have to shout out MCU 12, which we have finally just announced, our secret project. We are going to be reviewing and ranking Marvel movies throughout 2026. We're going to be doing one per month, and it is going to be absolutely fun. We've already started working on it. The announcement, podcast, and YouTube video are out now, so you can go in there and check everything you'll need to know about what the project is going to mean. We're very excited about it, and it's just one of the many collaborations that we'll be doing in 2026 as we prepare for the new year. We also have one more project that's coming up, but I'm going to stay silent on that for now. Definitely keep it locked to the feed and check out some of the movies that Is This Cinema is going to be covering as well. And also look at the Gen V and Slow Horses coverage if you haven't already. There is something for everyone here, and we've been very busy. So let us know what you think, and say in the comments what you think about Pluribus and all of the other shows that we've been covering lately. Okay, so as far as this episode is concerned, well, first of all, the episode is directed by Adam Bernstein and written by Jen Carroll. There's a lot of thematic significance to being alone. I mean, Carol is relishing it, and Manousos is also relishing it, but they're doing it in different ways. I think there's a different countenance. Like, there's this sense of rebellious glee in Carol, and with Manousos, it's more like rebellious spite. And I think they kind of go together. It's almost like he's now where Carol used to be, and Carol has kind of developed a little bit. But yeah, what do you think about this comparison between their two journeys?
Yeah, I mean, I think I have a slightly different read on it. Like, I do think Carol is learning from Mr. Diabate of, okay, I'm alone. Let me take advantage of this situation a little bit more. She doesn't go to his extreme of role playing with the hive, but in terms of, let me go to the country club. Let me go swimming in their pool.
Springs,
yeah, let's do some fireworks for fun. But I think she's uncomfortable a bit the whole time. Like, the reason she is constantly singing songs to herself is because
she's trying to convince herself this
silent.
Is fine.
Yeah, it's so silent, and I think she's trying to fill that in. And I think that becomes like more apparent once we do the time jump. So I think she's trying to embrace this situation, knowing that the hive mind's ignoring her. She has to be alone, but I wouldn't say she's like happy during all of this in terms of how she's
she's trying to be, I guess is what I'm getting at. She's trying to have a positive outlook towards this, and she's doing it because she wants to win. She's like, it's almost like she's trying to win the breakup, as they would say in How I Met Your Mother. And on some level, it's like she can't really win because while the hive misses her, they have other people that they're taking care of, the other 12. And those people supposedly are fine, well, except Manousos. But I think there's something to be said for her choice to be mean simply because she can. She's trying to get creative with her freedom. She's like, bring me an ice cold Gatorade, the fruit punch one.
Yeah.
And also turn on pump 2. So the grid is basically activated. I'm surprised she could even get a phone to work without the grid in the first place. But yeah, they turned on that convenience store at the gas station. She's able to pump her gas. I wondered if she would even send someone or ask them to send someone or a drone or whatever to pump the gas for her. But I was like, she's not going to be that unreasonable, I suppose. But the whole thing about the ice cold Gatorade was interesting to me because, Carol has done many things up until this point, but I feel like this is one of the moments where she's deliberately choosing to do something unlikable just out of spite. And I feel like that's kind of interesting. She's done stuff like that before, I suppose, but I suppose not to this level where she is demanding something that she knows specifically would be difficult to provide, because she like Manousos she tries not to make as many demands of them. She only calls them whenever necessary. But now she's kind of going out of her way to make sure that they are catering to her every whim. I mean, what did you think of that?
She doesn't do too much in the episode with the hive, literally besides the Gatorade, but she obviously has fun calling them up after to be like, it's not ice cold, and I think
that's what I mean.
Yeah. And I think I think it's just a direct result of Vegas, where she's a little annoyed that they fully cleared out the area. She realizes that that's following her everywhere, right? They didn't just leave Albuquerque. They are fully ignoring her everywhere she goes. So I think that's kind of where that spite is coming from a bit.
Yeah.
But I think it's interesting how the things that Carol finds pleasurable as opposed to Mr. Diabate, I think the things she finds pleasurable are a lot more normal, right? An ice cold Gatorade, some fireworks you do in your backyard. Yeah. Just scratching lottery tickets, even though you don't actually get the money. It's just kind of fun to see if you won.
Not her actually winning.
Yeah.
That's
right?
insane,
She
man.
could have 10K more. I guess when you can just keep picking them, your chances
I
go up.
I thought she was gonna ask for the money. It's like, hey, I just won the lottery. Can I have $1 million delivered to my house in Albuquerque? But I
there's
guess she
no
didn't
money
bother
in
with
this
that.
world, though, right? There's nothing to.
Well, there is for Manousos, right? Because he's such a stickler.
Yes, yeah.
Right, and like I said, we'll talk about him and his own peculiar ways of doing things. But yeah, freedom and power definitely make people do very interesting things. And of course, it's worth noting, based on our conversation about the previous episode, that a lot of this confidence is coming from the fact that she hasn't considered her frozen eggs yet. So, I mean, I don't know when that's going to become an issue for her, if it's going to become an issue at all, if she'll have a different outlook towards it as well. Time has passed, right? So it's unclear how this will go. Yeah, I don't know.
I don't think it will dawn on her until Zosha's there with a syringe or whatever. I don't know. Or actually, no, she would just kiss her, right? I mean, isn't that how they spread it originally? I don't know. I don't know how they have to.
Yeah.
Well, they'd have to change her first. So maybe they have to inject her or something. I don't know what the mechanism will be.
They may not.
But
I mean,
we'll see.
They'd have to create a version of the virus that can spread. So the injection is mainly to get the stem cells. But if they can get the stem cells without the injection, then all they have to do is create the virus and spread it to her. So like you said, it could just be done with a kiss. It could be done with putting something in her food. It could be done with all kinds of things, right? But yeah, it's wild. And I wonder if that's something that's going to become a point of the story before the end of this season or not, because it could just about be anything at this point. Like we said before, she is singing these songs about kind of relishing her loneliness. It's the end of the world as we know it. She's like, I'm all right. She's like, I gotta make it happen. Fire all of your guns. It's getting hot in here. She's just it's like a full court press of, I'm going to cope with this as best I can. And it is worth noting, of course, right? She gets from that 12-day point when she's driving back from Vegas to about 48 days. And, when you think about it, like that is over a month of her just like engaging in this intense copium of trying to figure out, I'm fine. I don't need anyone. I don't need anything. She probably called them here and there for different things. Maybe she did more things like the Gatorade stunt.
I forgot the fancy dinner. That was another thing.
Yeah,
she
the dinner was
demanded.
kind of
that was nicer.
That was nice, actually. And one thing I find interesting about that is that they told us, or at least she mentioned, all the different things on that table, all the different courses and what they represented, what their significance was to her, especially between her and Helen, right? But she didn't do that for the last course. And I find that kind of interesting. I don't know if that's something that's very personal to her or something that's like, that hurts a lot. Maybe it's like the last meal they ate together. I don't know, because she didn't feel the need to say that out loud. Having said
I wonder
that,
if that will be revealed. Because they're not afraid of flashbacks, right? We got at least one, so I wonder if they'll do one more Helen flashback to explain that.
I think it's going to be fun. I believe Miriam Shore, who plays Helen, is credited for at least 3 episodes, and we've seen her in episode 1. We've seen her in episode 3, so there's a pretty good chance we'll get another one where we see her again. And I'm looking forward to that. Carol's outfit is fantastic, though. She really went all out, especially after getting the friggin' Rolls Royce. I'm very glad the police car is gone because, it was cool and all for some reason in some way, but yeah, it's not exactly it's not exactly cute.
What was your take on her choosing the just married car? I thought that was very interesting, thinking of how heartbroken she is that she is no longer married because her wife passed away. So I was curious why she would choose that one when that could actually feel very, I don't know, just very rough for her and a reminder of what she's lost. But maybe that's why.
I think it is why. I think it's a big part of the reason. I think there's something here where she's like, you know what? I am still married. I do still have Helen in my mind. I do still have Helen in my heart. And to be honest, that was the most spacious of the cars that were there. I would have been fine with her picking any car there except the Mercedes, because that particular Mercedes is just not it compared to the other cars that were there. If I had to guess before, like if you showed me the list, I'd have thought she would go with the Porsche, but I guess it makes sense that she would go with the Rolls Royce. And it's cool, right? Because she comes prepared. She leaves the police car there. I'm still thinking about her Range Rover. I don't know if we're ever going to see that again, but
I think so.
But to be honest, she's probably better off without it. I think the fact that the car says just married on it, like I said, it is partly because of Helen, but I think it's also just the irony and the joke of it. Like she's looking at this, she's like, oh, this was about to be, someone's celebration. Let it be my celebration. This was about to kind of be nice for someone, but it's just here. Might as well not let it go to waste, right? So she ends up actually she gets the gun. Actually, she brings the gun from the police car into the trunk of this car, actually, when she's packing her things into it with the golf clubs and everything. And the license plate on it says Ace Baby. I don't know if that's going to mean something at some point, but it is kind of funny. Yeah, I feel like this is something where it takes her on this journey of trying to figure certain things out, trying to learn certain things about herself. We're seeing a lot of things in the background too, right? She has this encounter, so to speak, this silent nod at a bison. And we also see a rabbit, when she's at the golf course, and she's just noticing these things. And of course there's a wolf howling later. And I think it's just one of those things where the show is kind of thematically reminding us, the place is so empty that animals are just around. In different ways. I wonder if that's going to have some more significance later on. But
maybe. Yeah, I think with the wolves too, you should not howl at wolves, she's calling them over. But again, it's just highlighting the loneliness and the silence. I think it's nice to interact with someone or something and have them respond back to you, because she hasn't had a conversation in however many days.
Yeah, that's how down bad she was for connection and interaction. It's very interesting how that worked out for her. How did you feel about her golfing?
I don't know much about golf, but her swing looked good to me as a regular person who doesn't know anything about golf. But yeah, again, I think she's just trying to enjoy herself. It's interesting that she goes from the golf course to hitting
Breaking windows, yeah.
in a
That's what I
skyscraper
mean.
after. And again, I wonder if it's just getting more rebellious and a little annoyed
It's like a mixture
and
of rebellion and
frustrated.
boredom.
And also, again, making sounds. I think there's this thing with sound and just, putting something out in the universe that fills up the place a bit.
Yeah, she felt like she just had to get something out. And that is pretty interesting to me. I feel like, she was trying to sort of, like you said, take advantage of the situation the way Diabate would, but maybe in her own style. And, we've already seen the springs, we've seen the golfing, we've seen the breaking of windows, and she broke a lot of windows. That place actually reminded me of one of the locations where they shot Better Call Saul. It's like a car park where Kim and Jimmy were talking about certain plans in one of like the later seasons when she was at the law firm. Well, the one where they gave her like a nice office and everything. I forget the name right now. I think this was while Jimmy might have been at Davis and Maine.
Coakley?
Yes,
or one of,
that one. Schweikert and Coakley. Yeah, so yeah, that reminded me of that. I wonder if it's the same place. I'll have to check. But
yeah, it could be.
I feel like, she's going around doing all this stuff. She has like, kind of a reference to a Georgia O'Keeffe painting that's in the museum. So she goes and gets the actual one for her house. And I loved that transition where she's looking at the painting and then she's like taking it off and then putting it back on. And that's actually one of my favorite moments from the episode because low-key, that thing looked beautiful. Like it was just so amazing to have that in her house. The feeling she's having of like, this is actually in my actual house where I actually live right now in actual real time. That is fun. And I definitely felt that alongside her. I feel like even though they didn't tell us, why that painting is important to her, I mean, maybe that's something that'll become clear later on. It's nice that she's, enjoying things in a diverse way with all these different aspects and avenues as opposed to just, having one Lamborghini per day.
Yeah. See, I'm not sure exactly why she might have had that painting in her house already, but in terms of what it represents on the show, it is the belladonna, which is a deadly nightshade. So it's this beautiful poisonous flower, and she is staring at the painting when Zosha comes back at the end. So I do feel in the show that is very much representative of Zosha, who's beautiful but potentially deadly, because we know that she's planning to turn her and probably can based on loose threads of Carol. So that's how I kind of saw it in the context of the show.
Well, this kind of leads me to my next point/question, which is, what do we think was the moment, like the exact point where she decided to have a change of heart?
I think it is the firework, really. I mean, maybe she was already getting pushed before then, but I think maybe the fact that she was ready to accept death was this wake-up call of like, that either has to happen or I have to make a change because I can't go on like this without potentially ending things. So I think she chose to live her life longer, and it just has to involve the hive mind at this point because she just can't go on any longer.
Yeah, it's this idea of how long can the phrase "I'd rather die than join you" be true? Like, how long can that actually stay true? And she gives it a test, right? She's like, okay, I'd rather die, let me die. And then she doesn't die and is like, you know what, maybe I should join them. And that's just a little bit hilarious because she probably still doesn't want to join them, but maybe now she wants to live alongside them. And that's something, right?
Yes.
She wants to see if she can kind of have them around the way she has, or I guess the way Diabate has them around. And that's something.
Yeah, it's definitely a moment of desperation, and obviously there's so much relief in that hug at the end. She has been starved for human contact, and she's just overwhelmed. And this is an interesting moment because I myself, as a viewer, am very happy to see Zosha back. I love the Carol Zosha dynamics. I'm excited to see it on screen.
The internet has been missing Zosha.
Yes. And I think that's intentional, right? You start to miss her on screen the same way Carol does, and it makes a moment like that hit a lot harder. But there's this like sinister layer bubbling underneath, to be honest, because you have that feeling of Carol didn't want this. Carol did not want to embrace the hive mind, and yet she was basically pushed there. And so there's a bit of it that feels slightly icky, like she's being pushed because she's pushed into something she didn't want. And it almost feels like, I guess I could make two comparisons, which is, you know, putting prisoners in like solitary confinement. And of course she was not confined. She was just solitary within the world. But it feels like what you do to prisoners to get them to give up information or to break them down. And that's what it kind of felt like the hive mind did to Carol. Or even like an abusive relationship where they give you the silent treatment as a means of emotional control to get you to acquiesce, you know? So, yeah, so as nice as it is as a viewer, and you do feel happy that Carol has human interaction, it does feel slightly icky, I guess.
No, I get you. I was surprised at the way she capitulated because it's like first of all, I actually thought she wrote something on the ground a lot more explicit. So it was interesting to see come back later on, right? And I feel like it has certain implications too, because like you said, she feels like she's been pushed here. One could argue that she's kind of pushed herself here as part of it. Like the hive was not the only entity doing the pushing, because this is kind of a result of both her actions and the hive's actions, and both her stance and the hive's stance on everything that's happened. So when she showed up there, when Zosha showed up there, and I saw Carol, it's like, okay, I remember thinking, I was literally saying it out loud, okay, what's about to happen here? Like, is she going to yell? Is she going to say something? Who's going to speak first? Is she going to hug her? Is she going to push her? Like, what is it going to be? And it ends up being something very, like, not silent, but quiet, that feels like some kind of combination of everything. It's like, I hate you, but come here. Don't ever leave me again.
Yes.
It's so interesting how it worked out that way. Like that embrace was just so powerful. Like there's so much that was said/unsaid. Even the acting, not just from her, but from Carolina Vidra, with just the face is like, you know, I'm here. It's okay. You know?
Yeah.
And it's wild to me because she's been so apprehensive towards these people for so long. And Zosha is the only one she ever kind of cared about, her precious Rabana, right? And now we're in this situation where she still doesn't like them, but she's like, I like you. I know you're one of them. I know you are them. You're all the same, but somehow I want you around. And that is, it's interesting. It just is, like the way the brain works.
You're right. It really is a love and hate all at the same time, but sort of literally ready to embrace her as she does. And I'm curious to see how that goes going forward, especially because no one else is around too. So it's kind of just them two in their own little world here. And I'm so curious how that dynamic starts to play out.
I wonder what she's going to
request
next is like, okay, let me be alone, and like let me just be alone with Zosha. Like the rest of you can go. Like let Albuquerque just be for the two of us. And I think that's a little funny. I mean, we'll see if that's something she decides to actually take up and get into. But
yeah, I thought the shot where it's Zosha and Carol in the frame, but you see the just married car like right in the frame in the back, and I thought that was telling, perhaps.
That was pretty great, actually. That was excellent cinematography, excellent framing. And it's all over the episode, right? Because when you have one person doing things in spaces that are just empty, it can get boring really quickly visually. But it never happens in this show. And that is a real testament to the work that they're putting in to make sure this stuff actually feels good and it feels immersive. It's very fun. One thing though, now that she's kind of had this change of heart that Diabate told her the world was looking for, does this mean that she'll be a changed person by the time Manousos gets to her? Because thinking about what drives him and the way he's so set in his ways, and he's such a stickler for the rules. He's literally leaving money for the gas. He's siphoning out of people's cars. I feel like this is something where we have to ask, is it possible that he would continue to keep the fire of spite and rebellion going even after Carol has a change of heart? Like, is it possible that he and Carol could end up on opposite sides, physically, emotionally, philosophically? Like, I know most viewers are expecting them to be the two people kind of fighting against the hive or whatever, but maybe that's not going to be the case. I mean, or maybe Carol will change back if and when Manousos actually gets to her, like when she sees that someone else actually cares. Like, who knows?
I definitely think that's where it's going.
Where they're going to be on opposite sides?
Yes, because of the title of the finale, which is The Girl or the World, but it's in Spanish, La Chica o El Mundo, which is probably from his POV of, I don't know, like, you have to choose between the girl, Zosha, or the world, and that's how I'm taking it. And I could see that, because now I think she's going to embrace Zosha, and so now he's probably kind of coming at the wrong time, right? And everything is about timing.
It's a bit late, and it's funny because he probably wouldn't gotten there sooner and talked to her sooner if he had just taken the helicopter ride. Like, they were like, we can get you there by nightfall. You know what? Let's talk about this guy and his stubbornness, because dude, what's wrong with you? Genuinely.
I think it's just someone with like really strict morals. I wonder how he was in life too, right? Where he was probably a person with like a very strict moral code, even if things were to his own detriment. And then that's coming out full swing in this apocalyptic scenario. I mean, some people are like that in life, right? Where they almost make their life a little hard because they're, not willing to bend on anything. And he's definitely one of those people, which, I could commend to an extent. I don't think I would operate the same way. I like to make things a little easier for myself when I can, but he is not that way at all.
What would you say was the hardest part of his journey?
Oh God. I mean, the actual jungle part, right? I mean, he's slipping over rocks. He's, having to light fires, and I don't think he's that prepped for this. I mean, he brings what he can, but really, if you were a serious hiker going through this, you would have a lot more gear with you to even begin to survive this. And he might have done better if he had a backpack based on the way he fell into those spikes there.
I mean, he did have one. I guess it was off him at that point.
Yes.
So, and that was crazy because once he's using his little like cutlass machete and like he's going through the like all of the foliage, and then he sees those spikes. And I'm like, okay.
Well, they said they were chunga palms, so they were the spines that grow up to 20 centimeters, and they're covered in bacteria.
Yeah, exactly. Like at first, I thought it was like the whole thing about. Well, because I wasn't sure exactly where he would be at that point. So it's like, okay, what's going on? Was this put here by someone? And then I realized, like, when I thought about it, it was like, okay, these are, the chunga palms. And it's just an idea of like these, like the natural ailments and, dangers that exist in this jungle. So I just thought, okay, here I thought things were going to be difficult for him because of like things other people had done, and not just the natural elements. But it turns out that this guy is really just trying to fight nature. And that was a little bit funny to me because you can't really win against nature most times, but he's so determined. And I was like, okay, this should be fine. He can see them. He can definitely see the spikes.
Yeah, that first shot was actually really scary when he's macheting through, and then it kind of,
he clearly knew
the way
what
the
they were.
camera.
Yeah,
because I think the words of the hive mind member were in his head at that moment. But yeah, that whole sequence was shot really well.
Because they told him about
almost
that, right? Like you said, they told him about pretty much everything that could go wrong, and how like he could definitely die of a fatal infection, even if he survives like injury.
Yeah, and I think he just had a lot of self-confidence there, but I do think there's that idea that he'd really just rather take his chances and potentially die rather than accept their help, because that's how subhuman he sees them. Let me look for the exact words he says to them, but he's like, I don't see you. He's like, everything you took on this earth you stole, so I can't accept help from you.
Nothing in this world is yours. Yeah.
Yes. And that's like a little different from Carol, right? Carol wants to save them. I think she does see their humanity in the way she saves that construction guy when he's falling, even though he's a hive mind member. She felt very apologetic to Zosha every single time she put her in the hospital. And I wonder if Manousos even feels bad if one of them dies, because he doesn't see them as human.
Yeah, Loki, I thought he was going to try letting them die. This guy does not like them whatsoever.
Yeah, so I wonder, the thing is, Carol said there's a way to reverse this, and that is what sparked him to start on this journey, or at least it was one part of what sparked him. She had a few messages in that videotape, but yeah, I do wonder what his general idea is in terms of like if he would ever like kill hive members because he doesn't see them as human, and what his approach would be.
It's crazy. I hope not. I feel like the show wants us to kind of observe what drives him and what drives Carol, and ask if they're actually the same thing, right? I think I said earlier about how Carol's rebellion is very gleeful, whereas his rebellion is very spiteful in a sense. And I'm not sure what it is that makes him so like disgusted. But like because in Carol's case, it's like Helen died, and that's something that she really had to grapple with. In Manousos' case, we don't know whether he lost anyone that was very close to him, but he's just so repulsed by these people that like the contrast between his being repulsed and their being nice is even greater than with Carol, just because he's that mad. Like he won't even look at them. He won't talk to them. He won't respond. He really doesn't treat them like they're worth anything. And yeah, that's definitely significant.
Yeah, I think there has to be something in his background. The same way with Carol, we got the conversion therapy reveal, which definitely explained some of her aversions to joining the hive in terms of feeling like it was, changing another part of her, bringing up a lot of trauma. So again, I think there's something in his upbringing, or maybe something he's a part of, that is giving him such a strong moral code that is so unchanging and so strict. Like I don't want to say, I don't want to chalk it up to religion per se, but I wonder if he was in some kind of like I don't know. I wonder if he,
I mean, maybe he was brought up like in a very kind of moralistic religious way, where he feels like certain things need to be done, and he needs to take certain responsibilities. There's certain things he can't do. You can't just steal from people, things like that. Like it could actually be the case. Like he feels like if the world is going to get back to the way it was, I need to treat it like this is just a phase, which is why he's paying everyone for the gas, which is why he writes the notes, when he's opening people's storage units. He's like, nope, I don't accept any of this. Like, yeah, it's pretty interesting. So
yeah, there has to be something there for sure. I don't think you develop that level of strictness just from the apocalyptic event. I think most people would be, I think, like I said, Carol seems to maybe be in the middle of Mr. Diabate and Manousos. So as much as people actually, say they wouldn't act like Carol, I think Carol actually is the middle ground between these other extremes of how to act in this situation.
Yeah, well, at this point, he's been rescued, probably against his will. I thought he was going to fight whoever was trying to rescue him, but he definitely didn't have the energy for that. He did
Yeah, I
not
think
have the strength whatsoever. So I'm
he
curious as
fully
to where
lost
we will
consciousness.
next see him. Whether that's going to be in Albuquerque or if they're going to take him home. They'll probably take him to Albuquerque since they know that's where he wants to go. So yeah, that'll definitely be something. But
definitely needs a hospital, so it just depends on what city. Or like that's the thing, if he needs a hospital right away, I mean, it seems pretty fatal, so they might have to land somewhere. I mean, they're in Panama, right?
At the moment, I think, yeah.
Yeah, so maybe they are just somewhere in Panama or Central America for now.
Yeah. I mean, this episode is, of course, titled The Gap. And I think there is something to be said about what that might refer to. Like, it could be the gap that sort of chronicles or represents Manousos' journey. But it could also be the gap of time that Carol spends basically changing very slowly and reluctantly. So yeah, it's interesting how that's going to work out. And I'm curious as to how episode 8 will kind of bring things full circle, because they will probably meet in episode 8 as we predicted last week. So
I think it's well, I like those. It's like the metaphorical gap, but then it's also like the Darien gap is, what he went through. So I think it has like also like literal meaning of the gap.
That was what was written on the map, right?
Yeah, and it's just like I forget if it was actually on the map, but people were talking about it as I feel like I saw that online of, he's gonna have to cross the Darien Gap to get to Albuquerque.
Right. I did actually see something like that.
Yeah,
that's interesting.
So I wasn't familiar with that before, and then I was kind of looking into it before the episode a little bit. But
that's
what
cool,
I find
actually.
an interesting parallel is that I feel like Manousos and Carol were both, let's say, brought down by a poisonous plant, because Manousos was literally poisoned by the spikes.
And Carol's metaphorically poisoned by the one she stared at. Got you. Okay.
Yes, yeah. So I feel like there's a parallel there. And like I said, they were kind of just both pushed into accepting the hive mind in different ways. Like he literally could not, like he's not embracing the hive mind like Carol is a bit more, but he was kind of pushed into having to accept their help. Like, you don't even have the right to die in this world. Like, you can't really choose that for yourself because they will come and save you, which is interesting. Like, you can't even use death to escape the hive mind. And then for Carol, she is kind of, like, pushed psychologically. So, it's a little bit more her choice, but how much of a choice did she have if her alternative was maybe committing suicide or doing something very drastic, right? So
it's rough. It's so rough.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, okay. I don't know where we're going to start in the next episode. I feel like it could either be Manousos waking up, or I guess Carol living life with Zosha, whatever the case may be. I think we're now at a point where Manousos is going to be appearing like kind of more frequently in these last 2 episodes, so we'll see where they go with that. But yeah, that seems like a pretty good place to leave things.
Yeah.
Any final thoughts?
No, I'm excited to see where it goes. Like we were kind of theorizing, I think the timing's now going to be a little rough, and it's curious. I'm wondering if maybe Carol even makes more of an alliance with Mr. Diabate and not Manousos, the way we think.
Because she wants to get on the Zoom calls.
Well, because I think he's going to get bored. And if he starts to get bored, because we didn't see him over the 12 to the 48 days, but he has to be going through something.
There is no way. Like, yeah, he's
similar
like,
to
endless
Carol.
pleasure cannot be pleasurable endlessly. Like, it just isn't. So, yeah, I mean, he seems like somebody with depth. I'm looking forward to seeing what happens with, or I guess what happened with his character, like, before the incident. Like, I feel like maybe he was somebody who just didn't really get much of what he wanted. He was somebody who maybe most people would have considered, well, the internet is kind of calling him a loser, but I don't know if I'd go that far, but maybe he was somebody who felt like there were only certain things that he could he could get from life, and now he suddenly has everything. He seems like a really smart person. Maybe he was an academic or something like that, right? Like, I don't know. Like, we'll see.
Yeah. Well, yeah, we'll see if it's more confirmed on the show. I think Samba in some interviews basically said what you said, that he, at least when crafting his character, felt that, you know, he was not privileged in life, right? And maybe didn't ever do well with women. And so it's this time where he can embrace that, and the time he can, of just having all the things in life he never got. So
yeah. To see what it's like. I'm curious to see how all the characters end up, really. I'm not sure if we'll see him again, or even Lakshmi, who's equally hilarious. But yeah, I guess we'll just have to wait and see. But thank you all so much for listening up until this point. This has been a fun episode. Thank you, Chris, for basically helping bring sense to everything that's going on. I think this is a really good show. I think people are going to love it once they start. And I'm actually curious as to which will be the better experience in the end, watching the show week to week like we are, or the people who kind of find out about this towards the end and like watch everything all at once. Like, how bingeable is this show? It's probably going to be quite bingeable, to be honest. So yeah, I guess we'll have to see what people say about all this stuff. Definitely let us know what you think in the comments. We absolutely love reading and responding to them, both on YouTube and Spotify and all the other platforms. It is definitely a blast. I guess they're already starting to win some awards, or I guess be nominated for some awards. So it's fun to see that recognition. And I like that people are thinking about this show in a way that is innovative and very thoughtful. So yeah, until next time, we'll be here, and stay out of the jungle, please.